So that way we are trying to forge a unity which some of the people who are interested in having the divisions continued don't seem to like. Their actions after the war have not been innovative nor intellectual. The reason for this is that the political activities of the Tamil people were not institutionalized. This is due to the lack of unity among parties and the dominance of a few individuals within each party. Unless they are forced to, they would never loosen their grip. During the war, they made several promises only because they were forced to. As soon as the grip of the militants loosened, the state machinery went back on its promises. So we must know who the enemy is. The only way by which their mindset could be changed is by bringing pressure on the government. That is why I have always been saying there must be coordination between the local people as well as the diaspora. Civil society, which has taken everything to their hands, civil society moving with the political sections of the community, together they are working out. We are trying to get these different parties together, trying to find out why they are opposed to each other and how to bring them together.
ILC Tamil Radio, broadcasting to our Tamil audience across the globe. Let me welcome our listeners to the special Arasial Kalam program. Our guest on the show today is the Honorable MP, Justice C.V Vigneswaran. On behalf of our listeners across the globe, may I welcome you to the show and thank you for taking the time to speak to us despite your busy schedule.
Thank you.
Let me start by asking about the situation in Sri Lanka regarding the presidential election. It faces a dilemma as no candidate has a clear majority, and all the candidates are seeking support from the Tamil community. Do you think the candidacy of a common Tamil candidate for the presidential election is significant? Could it provide us with an opportunity to bargain and engage in a serious dialogue and explore potential solutions for the issues faced by Tamils?
Yes, it is significant, I no doubt. But I do not think it could provide any opportunity to bargain and engage in any serious dialogue. Even if promises are given by any candidate, it would be done secretively, never openly. That has been the practice. The promises would never be kept after the election. The opportunity provided would be to bring forth. Now, this opportunity that has been provided for us to field a Tamil candidate would be to bring forth the plight of the Tamils today, their history, to enlighten the Sinhalese and others that we are not in this country from very recent past, but we have a history of over 3,000 years, and also to obtain a mandate from the Tamils for a UN-sponsored referendum for the North and the East. That seems to be the basis on which we are trying to work out this common candidate one, and not to bargain and engage in any serious dialogue, because this type of things which have been done earlier has never worked. They would promise anything under the sun, thereafter they will go back on their words.
But can we not ask them to do a precondition, things such as releasing the political prisoners, releasing the lands as a precondition before you even start dialogue with them to be able to support or not to support?
We have already done so, and they have been earlier. What they did was, now there was 38 prisoners. It was brought down very slowly, but still there is about 12 to 15 people who are there. But that is quite a long time it took. I mean, so after all the promising, it took quite some time. So now we can't ask them to immediately release them, because they will think that that person is pandering to the wishes of the Tamils, and the Sinhalese votes will be lost. So I don't think that type of thing is going to work, because we have already done that in the past.
Mhm.
They
favor of-
promise but never keep to it.
Yeah. Are you in
Sorry?
favor of a Tamil common candidate?
I am certainly in favor of it, and in fact, I was one of the first to moot this. Suresh Premachandran also had been mentioning about it, but now it has caught on, because there is a committee of civil society members and politicians, religious people, both Catholic and Hindu, and maybe one or two Muslim religious leaders, who are involved uh, in gathering support for the Tamil candidate.
So why are you in favor of Tamil candidates?
It's simple. We have been let down by the Sinhalese parties right from the beginning. As you will know, we have an unitary constitution. A unitary constitution gives the Sinhalese the edge over everybody else. The so-called minorities, and I don't consider ourselves as minorities, we are majority in the north and east, but it gives the right to the Sinhalese people to rule the roost, as it were, and not do what is necessary for us. Even now, look at the 13th Amendment. They after 2018, there is no provincial council. They have stopped doing it. So we have been continuously going through all these things. So it is time for us to show our distinct individuality by fielding a Tamil candidate, not to win the election. We are not interested in winning the election, and we will not win the election.
Absolutely.
But to tell the world all our problems, make it a forum for us to tell the people about our problems, about the history, about the wrong notion of their history as far as the Sinhalese are concerned, and also put forward certain mandates in the form of, say, North and East referendum to find out what the people want. So if sufficient number of people, or if there is good backing from the Tamil community, we could say, well, this is what we want. So I'm fully in favor of it.
There is some element of foreign individuals are concerned about standing a Tamil candidates. Why do you think that?
Well, that may be, there are two things. One is they fear there might be a communal backlash. One. Two, they fear that we will enrage the Sinhala candidates, and it could have some sort of bad effect on the Tamils, and the good relationship as would be affected. Thirdly, very many of these groups which are against it, they do not want the Tamils to come together. They don't want the unity of, we are now trying to get all the parties together on this basis. This is the forum or the basis on which we are getting the Tamil parties together. Or even Gajendra Kumar and others, we are discussing now. Because if you vote for a Tamil candidate, it is as good as boycotting the election, because you are not voting for the Sinhalese candidates. So we are trying to work out a basis on which we can get the Gajendra Kumar's party also together with us. So that way we are trying to forge a unity which some of the people who are interested in having the divisions continued don't seem to like.
Are there any geopolitical playing parts in these presidential elections?
Well, there could be, but we find the American ambassador coming around there and then saying we are concerned about the Tamils and so on.
Why are they concerned about Tamils?
Well, because there had been recent reports from the UN, which seems to bring out the fact that there has been genocidal activities on the part of the government and its forces. So they probably would want to reach some sort of a reconciliation between the Tamil leaders and the government party leaders or the Sinhalese leaders. So that may be the reason. So there is definitely a geopolitical angle. I don't know where India stands, but India did call the JVP leader to India some time ago. So there is something going on as far as they are concerned. But as far as we are concerned, we are trying to show our distinctive individuality and to bring out our right of self-determination, which is there in writing in the CCPR, Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Article 1. So we are entitled to the right of self-determination. So that is what we are trying to work out. But certainly the geopolitical angle is there.
Does it also provide us with the opportunity to demonstrate a two-state solution is needed in that country?
No, we have always been now in the recent past mentioning the fact that there are two nations in this country. If others like Muslims and upcountry Tamils want to mention that they too have the right for to be recognized as separate nations, that's their business. But as far as the Tamils of the north and east are concerned, and the Sinhalese, they are two separate nations. They have their own individuality, lands, culture, language, different religions, and so on. So therefore, the question of two nations being resident in this country will come out always. When the common candidate speaks, he would be talking about it.
So there is a consensus that the Tamils have been politically betrayed by both local politicians and the so-called international community, and have been unable to make progress towards any kind of a solution since the end of the war in 2009. What is your view on this, and why do you think that we've not been able to find the right pathway to address Tamil aspirations?
Well, as far as Tamil politicians are concerned, their actions after the war have not been innovative nor intellectual. The reason for this is that the political activities of the Tamil people were not institutionalized. You know, this is due to the lack of unity among parties and the dominance of a few individuals within each party. Thus, the results have remained subject to a few individuals' likes and dislikes or limited knowledge, rather than well-discussed and researched collective clear-cut decisions. I must say that with regard to the common candidate, there is lots of discussions and researchers and togetherness that is being found, and we are well on that path. Also, the absence of visionary politicians with far-sighted thinking has made solving the Tamil people's problems or winning their aspirations impossible. I agree that this has created a state of frustration among Tamil people towards the Tamil politicians. Now, likewise, there is disappointment among our people that the international community has not taken any constructive steps to bring justice or political solutions to our people. However, we must bear in mind that the international community's interventions are conditioned by geopolitics and international relations. Therefore, we cannot expect changes overnight. Actions by the international community are often lengthy processes. So at the same time, aside from the fact that the international community has not done anything for us, we must also accept the fact that we are protected to some extent due to the international community's limited interventions in Sri Lanka. For example, the international human rights laws and principles, the role of UN and international relations principles, and so on. Had it not been for any of these, the truth is that the North and East would have been entirely Singhalicized and Buddhisticized in the last 15 years. Because power is in the hands of the Sinhalese, and they are the majority. There is a unitary constitution. So that's how all the land grabbing is now taking place. So therefore, some of these international institutions are standing in their way of taking complete control of the North and East. Further, I would say this, The unitary constitution has vested all powers in the hands of the majority community. We have an ethnocracy in Sri Lanka, in the language of Professor Yuftachel, Israeli professor. The government so far being a government of the Sinhalese, government for the Sinhalese and by the Sinhalese. Like the democracy, government of the people, for the people and by the people is no more valid in Sri Lanka. It's a government of the Sinhalese, for the Sinhalese and by the Sinhalese. The betrayal so far as you identified is due to the ethnocratic mindset of the majority community politicians too. They have obtained a firm hold on the governmental machinery. Unless they are forced to, they would never loosen their grip. During the war, they made several promises only because they were forced to. As soon as the grip of the militants loosened, the state machinery went back on its promises. Unless there is again a universal compulsion on the powers that be in Sri Lanka, there would not be any change in the mindset of the Sinhalese leaders. So you can't blame the Tamil leaders only on one side, because the Sinhalese leaders have become very powerful and they wield a lot of influence, lot of power, lot of authority, and we have even lost the 13th Amendment provincial councils. So we are a very, very weak section of the society. So all that must be taken into consideration in answering your question.
So why are we weak, Tamil community as a whole? Why are we weak?
Well, firstly and most importantly, it is a lack of unity among the leaders of the Tamils.
When you say lack of unity, do you think that the politicians and the other leaders realizes the fact that every opportunity where the international representatives are talking about unity, and they knew very well that our Tamils are separated in many ways with the different views, different agendas, they are using that as a tool to bypass. Do you think that our people don't understand this, or do they blindly just ignoring and then just getting on with their own agenda?
Well, I would say there's a lot of selfishness involved in this. Those who are in charge of parties, they have their own selfish interests. It may be with regard to money flowing from outside. It may be the relationship that they have with the Sinhalese politicians. It may be whatever relationship they already had with the governmental machinery and the Sinhala politicians, which they want to make use of for their own benefit. So like that, there may be so many reasons, or it may be intellectually different types of solutions that each person is putting forward. But I would say that is true, because basically all the parties are for federalism. Only our party has said we want confederation, but all the other parties basically are for federalism. So it is not that, it is all a question of selfishness, self-interest, and their inability to work together. If you look at the Muslims, they work together.
Why do you think that inability to work together? Why do you think that they are unable to do so?
Because each person feels that he should be the leader. You see, when Prabhakaran was there was a semblance of unity, because they accepted his leadership. Now everybody feels that he is better than the other and he wants to lead. They are not prepared to think of the future of the Tamils and extend their hands sideways and hold the hands of the others and walk together. So that is our difficulty. That is the most difficult thing that the Tamils are facing.
Politicians and the leaders, do they understand the repercussions around their activities?
They do, but their selfish motives are standing in the way. Now, for example, if a person wants somehow or the other to get a ministership, he would be working together with the Tamil parties, but his ultimate goal would be how he could work with some party or the other governmental party and then get a ministership for himself. So right throughout, we are discussing about Tamil people's future and what they should do and so on. But these individuals are thinking in terms of what benefits they are going to get personally. So these things they know and they do not care.
But while that is going on, Honorable Justice, do they understand right now, since the war in North and East, whatever happens, the Tamils are being spectators. They're not being part of the decision making in any form whatsoever. Do they not feel that this is now kind of losing the control completely? We are in danger of losing completely. Do they feel that?
They do feel, but then there are two alternatives. One is to join up with the government and get certain things done. The other is to work towards self-determination. So working together with the government.
All 70 odd years, they've tried to work with the governments and failed completely.
And not only that, they promise and they go back on their promises in every respect. So and also they would not allow a provincial council to work, because we had a lot of plans with regard to the people of the North and East. We were deprived of finances. And even if we get the finances from outside, they made some intrusion into the whole thing and did not allow the finances to flow into the northern province. So we have been having this problem, and probably our politicians are aware of it. But at the same time, there is a sort of a lackadaisical attitude, or maybe lethargy, but they are more interested in their selfish motives and selfish interests.
Yeah, the trouble is that people are losing patience. They are disillusioned about the activities around the elected politicians. I mean, obviously, you were elected the first time. You have a great knowledge around the law, expert in that field. You were not able to persuade the other politicians to come together for certain activities to be able to move forward towards our aspiration.
Well, I have been able to bring them together. We were able to get Mr. Sambandhan also to sign a document which we sent both to the Secretary General of UN as well as to Modi, and all those things. We have been able to, at least for specific purposes, we have been able to bring them together. But you must not have this funny idea that a sort of single sparrow or even a pair of sparrows would make a summer. Because few of us being there in Parliament is not enough. There are limitations on us because we have, in a unitary state after a war, that is where we live now, a unitary state after a war. So we live under an ethnocracy. In Parliament, we have stated our views, but we cannot change the mindset of an ethnocratic administration. So we must know who the enemy is. The only way by which their mindset could be changed is by bringing pressure on the government. That is why I have always been saying there must be coordination between the local people as well as the diaspora. So in bringing pressure to the government. This has to be handled by the Tamils as a whole, both local and diaspora and their allies. Yes.
So we are approaching another general election soon. And during the last election, people sought change and supported you and Mr. Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam. Tamils' hopes became reality. However, the criticism from Tamils, both in the homeland and abroad, suggests a common consensus that the election of both were complete failure. Do you agree with this assessment? If so, why do you think that you have not been able to make an impact?
Yeah, that is why I earlier said that some of you or some of us have this idea that a single sparrow or even a pair of sparrows would make a summer. Getting Gajendra Kumar and Vigneswaran into Parliament is not going to change the existing situation. See, there are limitations on us because we live in a unitary state and we live under an ethnocracy. In Parliament, we have stated our views, but we cannot change the mindset of the ethnocratic administration. That is why I was earlier saying that we have to have coordination and cooperation between the local leaders and the diaspora in working out the ways by which we could bring pressure on the government. So unless pressure is brought on the government, Eustace, you are saying you have been a failure. All of us have to be failures because we live in a unitary constitution where the Sinhalese are the people who are ruling us. They have all the powers in their hands. And as I told you, even the 13th Amendment, even though it brought us some sort of a decentralized constitution, they have stopped it. After 2018, there is no provincial council. And most of the lots of important provisions which gave us rights under the provincial council's law have been taken away by the central government in the field of health, education, and everything they have taken over. So we are trying our very best to get them back. Now, let me give you an example. They started these national schools, 1,000 national schools and so on. They were taking over lots of good schools in the north to the central government. So finally, our education minister, who was with me in the provincial council when I was chief minister, Dr. Sarveshwaran, he filed an action in the Supreme Court or in the Court of Appeal. We have been able to make the government change its ways, because now they have stopped allowing they have wanted the central government to stop going ahead with this idea of national schools. So because that power is with the provincial council. So provincial council power, when it is usurped, the Supreme Court might come against them, or the Court of Appeal might come against them. So we are doing certain things like that. But our resources, the manner in which we could set about it is all limited, because we live in a very, very strongly centralized government.
Yeah, I get it. Things are limited. I get it. But one of the burning questions that I get from our listeners during our debates, especially yourself, you're an expert in the law field, and Gajendra Kumar is also a lawyer. Obviously you have great knowledge. Why could not make an impact on, for example, Kurundur Malay issues and other land grab issues that you've not been able to make an impact, and releasing the other political prisoners from the jail? These are your typical field that in and out of the law. Why could you not make an impact on that and bring them home?
Well, I'll deal with the prisoners. At the time when I discussed this with the President Ranil Wickremesinghe, there was, I think, 36 political prisoners. Very slowly but steadily, it had been brought down to about 12 now. So political prisoners, we have been able to reduce the numbers. We have been giving all the necessary information legally and otherwise in order to how to find the ways and means of releasing them. So we have done that part of it with regard to them. Then with regard to Kurundur Malay and other things, you must realize that despite orders being made by courts, they had been flouting up the orders. So that's what I'm trying to say. When the state, its police, its army, they are all against the people, our talking about laws are not going to work, because those order was given by the judge and it was flouted. And soon the judge had to run away. You know that the judge who made the order with regard to Kurundur Malay is no more in Sri Lanka. He had to run away. So it is one thing to say there is legal provisions for this and that, but you have to also look at the practical aspect of it. We have to come against a stone wall when it comes to carrying out the orders or doing what is right under the law. Now, there is so much of land grabbing still going on. Despite all what we do, these things are happening. So we have to work out a system where we could bring pressure on the government. That is the only way by which this can be done. So we are now trying to do that in this having a common candidate. That's one way by which we are trying to tell them, look, you people have been always keeping us away, treating us as normal as any other minorities, when we are the majority in the north and east. So we should have been given proper rights and so on. So we are trying to work out on all these things.
So we're going to be wrapping up the interview very soon. Obviously, your first time into the parliament, member of parliament for representing Tamils. What is your assessment? How do you feel that you've done up to now as a member of parliament representing Tamils?
Well, as a member of parliament, I have not been doing what all the other members of parliament are expected to do, or what have they been doing. Whenever necessary, I have made my contributions in parliament, both in Tamil and in English. But more than that, my position as a member of parliament has been utilized to do things outside Sri Lanka. I've been having a number of meetings with various powers that be in various countries, talk to them, told them about our problems, and though I cannot take the credit for it, you will realize that within the last 4 or 5 years, the support given to Sri Lanka in UN has dwindled down. From about 15, 16, it has come down. Now it's only about 7 or 8. All this is because the persons in those countries have come to know what the truth is. They know about the genocide. Then we have brought out a book on the structural genocide. I don't know whether I have sent you a copy. At least I could send the soft copy to you. That is a book which lays down everything that has been happening from the time of the time of independence. It is the title is Structural Genocide and Ethnic Cleansing of Tamils in Sri Lanka. Our party, Tamil Makkal Kutani, has brought it out in March 2024. Almost all the questions with regard to what has been taking place are answered in that. I will send you a copy, and those who want copies, soft copies, you could let me know. I will send them all. If you give me the email addresses, I can send it to you all.
Thank you.
So we are doing. I am doing my part, not in the form of a normal politician in the parliament, but more so with regard to what I have to do in order to make the world understand that there is a serious problem in Sri Lanka, and that I am doing. So therefore, to that extent, I think I have done quite a lot, and it has its effects. There are people who are not Tamils but who are foreigners who are quite genuinely interested in the welfare of the Tamils. So they are doing their work in their own countries. So all that is, I think, part of the work which I did as a member of parliament, though not within the parliament, but outside.
My final question is that everybody is talking about togetherness, unity, especially when it comes to the foreign dignitaries. They're all kind of giving us the excuse as you're not together, therefore, we are not able to, sit down and talk about future solutions. Do you think that our politicians, our leaders can come together for certain goals to be able to sit down and work together to achieve Tamil's aspiration?
Yes, certainly, because we have been already doing that. As I told you earlier, we have been able to.
Then why are we keep getting come together? For example, Julie Sung was saying that you're not together. So, this is the excuse that's been used, leveraged across the globe.
Yeah. That is exactly why we are now trying to field the common candidate. Now there is civil society which has taken everything to their hands. Civil society moving with the political sections of the community. Together they are working out. We are trying to get these different parties together, trying to find out why they are opposed to each other and how to bring them together. All that is being now done at the community leaders level, and some of us politicians are also helping in that whole thing. I think very soon the position will be very much changed, because now, for example, we have told, not I, the civil society members have told Gajendra Kumar's party, well, you want to boycott the election. Now, when you have a common Tamil candidate, it's almost like boycotting the election, because you are not voting for any of the single list candidates, but you are voting for a Tamil candidate. So like that, we are trying to wean all of them towards a united front of civil and political personages. So I'm sure things are changing, and it would be for the better of the Tamils.
What does the future hold for the island of Sri Lanka, for Tamils?
Well, one of the things which is worrying me is the number of people who are going abroad. You see, lots of our people, lots of our youngsters are thinking in terms of going abroad. They don't seem to know how much of problems they have to face abroad. Now, there was a person who lives close by to my house. He spent some 10 lakhs and then had gone to Canada. I don't know how he's going to manage with regard to the climate there, because he doesn't have any work permit or anything. I don't know. He has gone. So they are all going. Now, this type of thing is very bad. We have got to put a stop to all these things. And future would be, because the more people
this is one of the other criticism that comes from the listeners, where the politicians are not close to the people to understand what's going on within the community and then try and help them elevate their life. This is something that lacks. Is that fair assessment?
Well, you see, even if we are close to the people, we have to give them jobs. You have to give them livelihoods. Now, we are trying to work out various systems in order to give livelihoods and all that. But that is, unless we are able to do that, we cannot give any sort of assurances to the people. So now they turn back and say, well, give us some job, then we will not go. So how are we to find the jobs for them?
How does Douglas Devananda, for example, able to help those people and then not the others not being able to do it?
Well, Douglas Devananda has a particular section of the society who may have been earlier downtrodden, and in order to get their votes, he makes use of them and do things. Now he is definitely in government circles, and there are certain things which he gets the benefits from the government and does it. But this is a temporary measure. You see, you can't be working on this. What about the future of the Tamils? Just because he's doing that doesn't mean any of his people are not going abroad. They are also going abroad. So the number of people Tamil people in the northern east are dwindling down. Already over 1 lakh of people have been going out of Sri Lanka within the last so many months. So therefore, we have got to work out a system soon where the Sri Lankan government can be pressured to give us the necessary wherewithal or the powers for us to look after ourselves. Whenever, even under the provincial council, we were not allowed to look after ourselves. Financially, they deprived us of the financial resources that were necessary. They took taxes and other things from our people, but gave very, very small amounts back to us. So all these things must be looked into when you want to change.
It's an absolute pleasure talking to you, Honourable MP Justice C.V Vigneswaran. On behalf of our Tamil listeners, may I take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time to talk to ILC Tamil. We wish you all the best in your future endeavours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for calling me, and it was very pleasure listening to talking to you. And I wish everybody all the best in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.